Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylin and this is Full Purpose and Heart. If you are new here, then I am a homeschooling mama of 3 kids and we are wrapping up our 4th year of homeschooling. So in this video, I want to share with you why I still choose to homeschool after these 4 years. I have a couple of videos on our channel here that talk about why I homeschool, but in having a conversation with one of my subscribers recently, I decided that an update video was appropriate since I feel like I have a little more defined reasons as to why I homeschool. And as each year passes and you learn a little bit more, kind of your reasoning grows and things kind of develop. So I felt like an update was necessary because my other video doesn't really capture the reasons why I homeschool today. So if you're interested in learning some reasons why I choose to homeschool, then let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so as I mentioned, I have 3 kiddos and we have finished 4 years of homeschooling. And my previous videos as to why I homeschool, I'll link them here above if you're interested in seeing the progression of my reasoning. But it was really vague and kind of like, well, we're just doing it because this is what I choose to do, which is really why I did start. But now, having done it for about 4 years now, I feel like the reasons that I choose to homeschool can kind of be categorized into 4 different groupings. So I just want to kind of talk about those 4 groupings with you. And then I think that there's like a lot of appendages to those that, you know, I could go into and talk more about, but a basic summary can fit into these 4 categories or these 4 groupings. So that's just kind of what I'm going to share with you today. So without further ado, I think that the first reason why I choose to homeschool is because of time. And I know that a lot of you have probably heard this reason a lot, but there's a lot of time benefits that come when choosing to homeschool your kids. There's obviously the duration of time that students are required to be in school versus the time that it takes that you can do that same amount of schoolwork at home. And as a teacher, I think that the state, depending on which state it is, there are hours that are mandated that students are required to actually be in the classroom. And those hours cannot be moved one way or another. And so I wanted to have those hours that my student was away from home to be with me. I think some of you have probably seen the hashtag 18 summers. And that really hits home for me. I feel like one of my greatest fears, or my, not a fear, but my greatest what haunts me at night is missing out on the time with my kids, and the kids are growing too fast, and you know, it all passes by so quickly. And so the thought of sending my kids off to school for that many hours in the day, between 6 and 8 hours, depending on, you know, which day of the week it is and stuff like that, just seemed so daunting to me. And so that's one reason why I still choose to homeschool, is because of that time that I get to have with my kiddos. So that's number 1. Also, a freedom of time, because if I choose to go on a trip or travel with my family or visit extra family or whatever, extended family, I don't have the time restraints that public school requires to be able to do that. So I have a lot of time freedom that comes because I choose to homeschool my kids. So that's number 1. Reason number 2, so these are in no particular order. So the second reason that I choose to do it is just because of logistics. I feel like logistically, when you send your kids to school, there are thousands of students on that campus, and each of those students can be taught by one teacher. And so the teacher's attention can only be, you know, spread so far, so thin. And being a public school teacher in my past, you know, I had very large classroom sizes, and my largest class, it always shocks people when I tell, but that my largest class was 45 students. Now, I taught in secondary education, and so we had class periods that were only about an hour long. So that was only one class period. It wasn't like I had 45 students for my entire 8 hours a day, but that was my one class that was the largest over my entire career. And although that was obviously an extreme, I do know that classroom sizes can get very large, and it's difficult to be able to give the attention to any student that you would need. Now, I would hope that my child's education needs were kind of the norm or median level. I know myself as a student didn't require a lot of attention from a teacher, but it's just nice to know that that attention and that educational attention can come from a teacher that we can give time to him. Another logistic is just the hours of time spent at school versus the hours of time it takes to actually do the work. Our school day can run anywhere between 2, maybe 3 hours on a long day. Of course, students on campus in a public school are going to be doing their schoolwork between 6 and 8 hours. So just logistically, it doesn't take 6 to 8 hours to cover the material and practice the concepts as much as it is. On campus, logistically, a teacher spends a lot of time just in disciplining a classroom and just trying to navigate the world of that many students and communicating with parents and working with the district and having the assemblies and safety and all of those things that come logistically when having that many students in a space over a number of hours. So anyway, plus there's a lot of requirements and stuff that come from the district, which kind of falls into my third category, which is content. The content that I can provide for my student is important to me, and I want to be able to share with my students my faith and practice faith in my classroom and teach them a little bit more of a biblical worldview is kind of the term that is used, where I can bring it from a perspective of God as opposed to a perspective of science. And I can integrate those into my classroom. I can choose which days I want to do math on which days I don't want to do math, and how much math we're going to cover and how slow we want to go or how quickly we want to go, what subjects we're going to highlight any given year. Maybe one year for science we want to do animals, or we want to do more like the matter, or for history one year, maybe we want to focus more on American geography because we're going on some fun road trip. Or maybe we want to focus more on wars or a particular culture. My son was really into Pompeii, so studying that. So anyway, just the freedom of content that comes as a homeschooler is very appealing to me, and another reason why I choose to homeschool. So those are the 3 main ones. I do have a 4th one, and I'll cover that in a minute, but I think that most of the reasons why I choose to homeschool can fit within one of those categories: time, logistics, or content. My last reason why I choose to homeschool is just because of my personal preference, my talents, my passion. I really enjoy teaching. I used to be a public school teacher, so of course that plays into a little bit about why I chose to homeschool. I just enjoy creating content. I like learning. I like doing things with my kids on a learning platform. So I think it was just kind of a personal choice from that. There was a couple of events that happened in our life that homeschooling sort of just happened to us. I didn't feel like I had a calling from God. It didn't weigh heavy on my heart. There wasn't any, pull or draw. I wasn't necessarily running away from public school. It just sort of happened to me. But over these last 4 years, now having done it a lot, and seeing the path that public education continues to take, it really has felt like these reasons as to why I homeschool have developed a little bit more. And I feel really confident in why we choose to continue to homeschool because of the freedoms that I get within these 3 areas that I've discussed. So anyway, that's kind of the gist of why we homeschool. I'll just cover this quickly. A question that I get often is, how long do you think you're going to homeschool? Is there a time where you have decided that this is when you're going to send your kids to public school? And the answer that I give is, I don't know. We just kind of go on the path that we have selected. I foresee that we will probably do this through middle school. And then in high school, I can probably assure you there will be a conversation with each of my kids as they get to that threshold. What do you think? Do you want to go to high school? This is kind of some opportunities that going to public school might present to you. These are some drawbacks that you may experience. Like, what do you kind of feel? And let them feel it out for themselves. But I've heard a lot of stories about parents who do that and their kid chooses to go to to public school, and then within a short period of time, a couple of weeks or so, the kids are like, this is not what I want to be doing for my education. So I don't know what's going to happen. Of course, I can't foresee the future. The time period that we're going in right now, of course, with COVID-19 and everybody having to stay home and the public schools being such a strain. So a shout out to the teachers and how much they're dealing with and having to adapt to this new digital learning field. We won't be in this forever, but it's been kind of nice to be able to have some resources to share with my friends. And hopefully this YouTube community has been a great resource for that as well. So anyway, I got a little off track there at the end, but these are some of the reasons why I choose to homeschool. It's really nice to have them to fall back on and to feel confident with. So if you are considering homeschooling, maybe that's why you've come to this video. I would encourage you to find some reasons as to why you want to do this, because there may come a point when either family members or friends will question you. You may question yourself whether or not this is something you want to do. It's nice to have those kind of in your back pocket to rely on, because really it is the driving force as to whether or not your homeschool will be successful, or if you're going to end up putting them back on the bus because you just don't feel like it's worth it, or the strain is worth it, or anything like that. So anyway, lots of good thoughts and feelings. So hopefully you guys got a little bit out of this, and subscribe to my channel as always. If you haven't done so, I encourage you to kind of follow along. I try to create content that can be helpful for you in your homeschool journey as we do ours over here on our side of the mountain. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in one of my other videos. Bye now.